"My mother-in-law didn't just take my money," my wife screamed at me on our stoop, rain smearing her mascara. "She took your pride, and you let her." That was the accusation that opened the floodgates. Here is the story of how I pushed back, how a family split in half, and why a woman ended up in handcuffs on her own porch while the next-door kid filmed from behind a damp hedge. By the time this ends, someone will be gone, someone will be exposed, and the loudest person in the family will be the quietest one in the courtroom. Me, male, 33 years old. Wife, female, 31 years old. Her mother, Lorraine, 60 years old. I am a bicycle mechanic who also fixes espresso machines for a living, which means my hands always smell like degreaser and coffee. My wife, Jules, is a junior realtor with more open houses than weekends. Lorraine is the kind of person people call a hoot if they do not have to see her twice in 1 week. She is famous for inappropriate karaoke, perfume that arrives 5 minutes before she does, and opinions that arrive 15. For months after Jules and I moved into our place, a narrow blue townhouse near the L tracks, Lorraine seemed like she was trying. She dropped off lasagna in foil pans, left 2 loud voice messages full of sweetie pies, and offered to help with the boring adult stuff, like filing homestead exemptions. Jules swore her mother was turning a corner. I wanted to believe in corners. The ordinary Tuesday it blew up, I stood in a fluorescent-lit bodega under the rumble of the train, cradling a basket with eggs, a loaf of potato bread, 2 Honeycrisp apples, and a jar of salsa I did not need but bought anyway. The card reader chirped, denied. I rubbed my thumb on the strip like that mattered and tried again, denied. The line behind me shifted and sighed. A teenager wearing wired headphones said, "Yikes," too loudly. The cashier's nails clicked the register. I left the basket there, eggs teetering, and walked out into rain that smelled like hot brakes. In the car, wipers squeaking, I opened my banking app and watched my balance shrink to a punchline. 4 transfers, small enough to feel mean. 50 here, 60 there, 38 as if to measure the pain. Recipient, L.A. Devereaux, Lorraine Ann. Jules came home to me at the kitchen island with a damp grocery bag and the expression of a man who just tried to haggle with a computer. When I showed her, the color left her cheeks. "No," she said automatically, and then again, softer, realizing the shape of her own sentence. "No." "Would you confront family like I did?" I asked out loud, but to myself more than her, because the line between family and liability felt like a thread pulled free from a sweater you cannot stop tugging. We had that ancient problem under the paint. Years back, when Jules was in college and bouncing between phones, Lorraine helped set up mobile banking on an old handset. The app stayed signed in. Jules never changed the password, because grief and finals and life got loud. Somewhere in the chaos, Lorraine kept a key. I set my coffee down too hard. We are changing everything tonight. Jules stared at the rain tracking down the window. She will deny it. She will sing about it. She will make you the villain. She will try. I grabbed the keys and the umbrella that always smells a little like mildew. Let's go. Lorraine answered her door in a glittery robe at 6 in the evening, smelling like sweet wine and room temperature Chanel. The television blared a game show, soft-chewed cheese puffs glowed radioactive in a bowl. She had the nerve to grin. Well, if it isn't my favorite newlyweds. I held up my phone with the ledger. You sent yourself money from our account. Her eyebrows rose. Her mouth did that shrug of a smile. Borrowed, Jules. Say borrowed. PayPal has less nerve, I said. She glanced at Jules for backup. Jules shifted her weight, the way you do when your bones remember childhood. Lorraine's voice turned theatrical. All this fuss over chump change. Honey, I used to loan you more than that for textbooks. You never loaned, Jules said, surprising herself with the steal. Lorraine's mouth sagged. I raised you. And I am raising a boundary, Jules said. Lorraine rolled her eyes and reached for my phone like snatching a baton. Her nails raked my wrist, the phone slipped and cracked against the edge of the coffee table, spiderwebbing the glass. "Oops," she purred, absolutely not sorry. "You do not get to keep breaking things and calling it love," I said. She didn't steal cash, she stole control. Lorraine started sobbing like a faucet, instant, theatrical, a performance with good seats. She jabbed a finger toward my chest. "He attacked me, Jules. He is violent." Jules laughed once, a shocked bark. "Mom?" "Call them," Lorraine said, to us, but mainly to the neighbors. "Call the police. I dare you." So I did. The dispatcher's voice was dry toast. My hands, greasy from fixing espresso machines earlier, left faint crescent moons on the phone case. While we waited, Lorraine paced in circles, practicing lines. "He lunged. He threatened. He called me a thief." She tried different inflections like she was auditioning. When the officers arrived, one older and bored, one young and listening, Lorraine turned on the floodlights. "Thank God you are here. I am afraid in my own home." I held up the app. Transfers, dates, her name. Check the recipient. Check the old phone she keeps in that drawer. I pointed at the sideboard where she hoarded warranties and expired mints. Lorraine's pupils flicked toward it, tiny, traitorous. The young cop caught it. He opened the drawer, revealing a cracked Android and a phone charger with duct tape around the neck. The older officer's eyebrow rose. "This yours, ma'am?" Lorraine's mouth did theater again. "I was just borrowing," I said. The click of handcuffs sounded like a toaster popping. On the porch, rain stippled the bricks. The neighbors' wind chimes made the moment ridiculous and holy. Lorraine hissed at me as she passed. "Family takes care of family. You will regret this." Inside the car, Jules' hands shook. "Do you think I made things worse?" she whispered. The question hung like the smell of burnt toast. Fallout arrived like junk mail, constant, useless, and addressed to the wrong person. Jules' aunt texted from a number we did not recognize. "Blood is thicker than water. Shame." Her cousin posted a neon graphic on her story about forgiveness, with a Bible verse cropped just so. A church friend of Lorraine's messaged me a paragraph that started, "As Christians," and ended with a recipe for grace. Meanwhile, my best friend Tank, a barista who wears Hawaiian shirts to funerals, showed up on our stoop with 2 iced coffees sweating in a cardboard tray. "Before we start," Tank said as he kicked off his flip-flops in our entryway, "do you think parents can be toxic too?" He did not wait for an answer, because Lorraine is a Capri Sun full of battery acid. Jules chewed a fingernail. The living room smelled like wet umbrella and the lemon cleaner I always overuse when I am angry. "I feel like a traitor," she said. "She is still my mom." Tank peeled the paper straw wrapper. "You can love someone from far away, the same way you can admire fireworks, from a field, not from your lap." We spent that evening making the calls you make when someone breaks into your life with a smile. I shut down the old checking account and opened a new one at a credit union where everyone looks like a guidance counselor. We turned on 2-factor everything, including the app that controls our thermostat and the one that tracks our cat's litter box. Jules sat with the bank for an hour untangling Lorraine's ancient help, removing her as a beneficiary where she had no right to be. We reported the cracked Android and the repeated transfers. "Why did the bank not ping you?" Tank asked, tapping his straw against his glass. "Because I turned off alerts during finals 8 years ago," Jules said, shame flushing her face, "and never turned them back on." "It happens," I said, even though my insides wanted to be a courtroom. "It will not happen again." At 2 a.m, Lorraine called collect from county on a phone that made her voice sound far away and tinny. "Drop the charges," she said, friendly, like we were discussing brunch. "I will pay you back. We will laugh at this at Christmas." "I am tired of paying for your punchlines," Jules said, and hung up. The group chat we were never invited to lit up anyway. Screenshots arrived via a cousin who still likes me. "Jules is being controlled," one message read. "He is isolating her," another announced. My name appeared with adjectives like a coat of insults: stubborn, petty, broke. I took a photo of the jar of coins on our kitchen counter and texted Tank, "They are not wrong about the broke part."
He texted back a sticker of a raccoon in a tie saying, "Same." I did not sleep. I lay there with the whir of the fridge and the hiss of the radiator and a question that would not stop asking itself. Would you rather stay silent or fight back? The arraignment was a Tuesday morning painted in fluorescent light and coffee breath. Lorraine pled to a smaller charge that made the word theft sound like paperwork: probation, community service. A judge with kind eyebrows told her, "You cannot touch what is not yours," like this was a revelation. Lorraine looked at me as if I had slipped a new law into the country. You would think that would be the end. You would think handcuffs and a judge and a printed order telling her to stay away would be a period. In families like ours, periods are decorations. The real sentences run on.
Lorraine's church friends started a campaign called Let Mercy In. They tagged Jules on Facebook, because of course they did, and wrote captions like, "God restores what the locusts have eaten," even though the locust here had a manicure and a purse the size of a toddler. They uploaded throwbacks of Lorraine holding baby Jules. They said my full name out loud like a hex. Jules sat beside me on our waxed wooden floor, legs crossed, holding a printed stack of emails that smelled like hot printer. "Do you think betrayal ever be justified?" she asked me, tears trying to happen in her eyes. "Because this feels like treason against my own blood, even though she started the war." Tank came over with a bag of greasy takeout, dumplings that dripped, noodles slick with garlic. He ate leaning on our counter and said, "If loving your mom means lighting yourself on fire to keep her warm, you are confusing love with arson." He popped a dumpling into his mouth and pointed his chopsticks at me. "Write that down. Put it on a mug." Our neighbor, Mrs. Brady, the retired nurse who tends roses like patients, knocked to bring us a lemon bar wrapped in wax paper, her peace treaty. She patted my hand and said, "I raised 3 boys. Boundaries are love with a spine." We got through a month like that. Blocked numbers, lawyer emails, and little normal things that save your sanity. Cat videos, the smell of coffee grounds, a dumb sitcom about roommates who never do dishes. We even made date night rituals again. On Thursdays, we ate at the taco truck that parks by the hardware store, sitting on a curb that smells like oil and cilantro. Jules started laughing with her whole face again. That is when the twist found us. On a miserable Thursday that blew sideways rain, someone rang our bell 3 times in the pattern Lorraine used when Jules was a kid. I was halfway down the stairs when Jules said, "Wait," in a voice that was a hand on my shoulder. I opened the door anyway because some lessons you only learn by burning your fingers. Lorraine stood there, smaller, damp, mascara pooled under her eyes like bruises. No perfume, no glitter robe, just a wrinkled windbreaker and a checkbook clutched to her chest like a rabbit foot. "I need to talk to Jules," she said, ignoring me the way you ignore a fire hydrant. "This violates the order," I said. She looked at the ground. "Let the cops arrest me again then." Jules appeared behind me, hair in a bun, wearing my old college sweatshirt that smells like starch. Her mouth trembled. "Mom." Lorraine launched into a new performance, contrition. "I am getting help," she said, words tripping over each other. "There is a group at church. I have a sponsor named Carol who says I cannot make amends with a check, but I brought one anyway because I do not know what else to bring." She held up the checkbook like a shield. "I am trying. Let me in." Rain pinged the metal mailbox. 2 kids across the street tried to balance on one scooter. For a second, the whole world blinked softer. Jules took half a step forward. I felt the air change, and then my phone buzzed in my pocket. The text was from Tank. It was a screenshot of a group chat I should not have access to. Cousins and aunts and Lorraine's sponsor, apparently. A screenshot of a selfie Lorraine had taken 30 minutes earlier in a parking lot, grinning with a plastic cup of rosé, captioned, "Wish me luck, I am going to fix my daughter." Another screenshot, a message from Lorraine to her sister that read, "If I cry enough, she will drop the order. I will get in the house tonight. He will blow it. He always does." There was even a note, "Bring up the wedding money. She forgets details when she is sad." I held up my phone like a caution sign. Jules stared.
Lorraine's mouth opened, closed, opened again. The act fell off her face. "You brought a check," I said, "and a script." Her shoulders slumped. "You do not know what it is like to be me," she said, a last attempt at narrating herself into sainthood. The neighbors were trying not to watch. A woman from the second-floor walk-up across the street stood with a mug and a look. I called the non-emergency number. Lorraine sat on our steps getting quietly soaked, muttering to herself that she used to change Jules's diapers, and now look how cold we were. When the squad car rolled up, she said to the officer, very softly, "I am just their mother." The officer, a woman with kind eyes, said, "And they are just adults." Lorraine climbed in. The door thumped shut. Jules leaned her forehead on the cool window pane. "She is playing me like a jukebox," she said, "same 6 songs, over and over." I put my hand on her back and felt all the years there. We are turning the music off.
The family did not forgive us. They staged their own holiday season without us and posted photos of hams and pies like glossy ads for nostalgia. They wrote captions about restoration that tagged nobody and tagged everyone. Lorraine did community service at a second-hand shop attached to the church. She posted selfies with donated coats and wrote paragraphs about redemption as if repentance came in thrift store sizes. Then Jules got a text from an unknown number with a familiar voice. "Meet me at Lily's Diner," it read. "I will bring everything." It was from Aunt Maggie, Lorraine's older sister, the one who moves through drama like a submarine. Quiet, steady, impossible to sink. We met in a vinyl booth that smelled like syrup and old coffee. Maggie slid an envelope across the table. Inside, photocopies of check images, screen grabs of bank logins, a list of dates. "I kept receipts," she said, with that tight little smile women invent to survive family. "Lorraine used your logins because Jules, 10 years ago, gave them to her to pay a utility bill during finals. Your wife forgot to change them. Lorraine memorized them, did not set up two-factor, and kept the old phone with the auto-signed app. She also used your social for a store credit card once and had it sent to her apartment because she said she would hold it for you. She tells herself stories so she does not feel like a thief in those stories." Jules's fork hung in the air above pancakes, dripping butter. "I gave her the keys," she said. Maggie touched her niece's hand. "You gave her trust. She used it like a crowbar." We sat with that. The diner clanged and hushed and smelled like bacon, and a toddler 2 booths over insisted his toast was a hat. Life continued with its ridiculous grace. I drove Maggie home and sat in my car outside our house afterward, engine ticking as it cooled, and made one more decision. We were going to fix what we could and let go of what we could not. I called a therapist who takes evening appointments and couples who are tangled. We started Friday sessions that felt like dental work for the heart. Uncomfortable, necessary, relieving. Jules said to me on the second session, eyes red, "Do you think I made things worse?" And then answered herself, "No, I think I made them true." She squeezed my hand. I picked us. Here is the part that will sound like revenge, but felt like justice wearing practical shoes. I went to small claims with the documentation Maggie gave us and the bank printouts and the photo of the cracked Android in Lorraine's sideboard. We asked for the exact amount she had siphoned, plus the cost of my shattered phone screen and the overdraft fee from the humbling bodega incident. Lorraine chose not to appear. The judge peered over her glasses and granted a default judgment. A month later, a sheriff served Lorraine at that second-hand shop while she was stacking sweaters in a Hercules pose. The shop smelled like cedar balls and old lipstick. She cried, of course. A volunteer later told Maggie that Lorraine wailed, "This is persecution," and someone at the register said, "This is paperwork." "Would you feel guilty if you did what I did?" I asked Tank later as we ate takeout on our stoop, orange streetlight turning everything sepia. He wiped sauce from his lip with the back of his hand and said, "I would feel hydrated." Then, softer, "No, I would feel safe."
People will tell you 100 versions of how to handle family. Jules's cousin texted to say she could not pick sides. An uncle mailed us a Christmas card in April. Lorraine posted a meme about prodigal children and another about narcissists that made us spit laugh. Jules and I took our cat to the vet and spent too much on an ultrasound. We went to a concert where the lead singer cried during the second song, and it was still great. We bought a cheap rug that sheds. We learned that your life continues even when a branch falls off your family tree. You just get to see the sky better.
Lorraine moved 2 towns over. Every now and then, I catch a whiff of her perfume in a grocery aisle, and my stomach jumps as if I am about to be tested on a subject I barely passed. We have not spoken to her since the second arrest. Jules still has a blank space where the word mom used to go. The space is not empty, though. It is filled with the quiet of a Saturday morning where no one is waiting to weaponize love. What remains are small things I count, like prayer beads. The sound of a train 2 blocks over, the sting of citrus when I cut a lime, my wife sleeping with her mouth open because she trusts the house now. We did not win exactly. We did not lose either. We built a door and learned how to lock it. She says family takes care of family, Jules told our therapist in our last session, but we were the family, and nobody took care of us. Then you did it, the therapist said simply. You took care of you. One more one-liner, because sometimes the truth is short enough to fit on a thumbnail. She didn't cheat me out of money, she cheated me out of peace. You want the last image? It is not Lorraine crying on a porch or a deputy tightening cuffs. It is not a courtroom where the acoustics make your heartbeat sound like a drum solo. It is me and Jules on a stupid little balcony in late spring, eating takeout tacos off the lid of a cardboard box because we still have not bought a patio table. The neighbor's wind chimes are out of tune. A plane drags itself across the sky. Jules says, honest surprise in her voice, I am not waiting for the next explosion anymore. We clink our jarritos, the cat sneezes, the evening smells like cilantro and rain on hot concrete. People online will argue about whether this kind of thing could even happen. They will talk about 2-factor authentication and old phones, and whether the police would arrest someone for what looks like permission and feels like theft. They will pick at the plot like a scab. I get it. I fix machines for a living. If a system breaks, I want the screw, the gasket, the why. Here is my why. Power. Lorraine needed it the way some people need applause. We took it back. So here is my question to you, the stranger listening on your lunch break, stirring your coffee with a plastic stick, while something in this story pinches a bruise you forgot you had. Is this bravery or just a boundary that finally held? And because I still ask myself this when the house goes quiet and the radiator sighs like an old dog, do you think I made things worse? Or did I just stop making them easier? When it all went quiet, when the lemon cleaner smell faded and the dings from blocked numbers stopped, when our savings finally had more than 1 comma in it, I realized the part that hurts and heals at once. She never loved us. She loved what she could take. And that is when I realized I was done being taken.